Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, April 30th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, we hear from our police and fire chiefs on how our public safety personnel are dealing with COVID-19. A local manufacturer has reshaped his company to help in the fight against the virus. Durfee High School seniors are having to realize that this is not a normal senior year experience. And local artists will be entertaining remotely as part of Art Week at home. We'll have those stories coming up in just a few moments. But first, let's discuss the news headlines of the week. We bring in Phil Devitt, the digital news editor at the Herald News. Phil, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Keith. Nice.
I am doing well. Let's get right into it. First of all, the COVID-19 news. We will start. Not a particularly good week for the city of Fall River in terms of the number of cases. There was also, I believe, since the last time we talked, 2 extra fatalities. More than likely, by the end of the day today, the city may have over 500 positive confirmed cases of COVID-19. In the reporting that you've been doing at the Herald, are we still in the surge as far as we know locally?
Well, indications would point to yes. But again, one thing we talk about every week, Keith, is that there are so many numbers involved in this pandemic and so many different levels of numbers. You have the city numbers, you have the county numbers, you have the state numbers, and you have the national numbers. So it's sort of, I think, tough in some places to gauge where we're at compared to the neighboring county and neighboring state, that kind of thing. But certainly we have seen an uptick in cases in the last couple of weeks. At the time we're recording this, we're just under 500 cases in Fall River. We added an additional death on Wednesday to come up to about 5 deaths in the city of Fall River. So we're keeping an eye on that, and hoping, I think, like everybody else, that this thing levels out and drops very soon.
Governor Baker this week announced that the closure of non-essential businesses as well as the stay-at-home order will continue for an extra 2 weeks until May 18th. Again, the severity of what we're seeing across the Commonwealth. Every Thursday, I have the opportunity to speak with Mayor Coogan. He seems to think that we're still in a surge right now. And part of our discussion, I had the opportunity to speak with him about asking people to wear masks in public. The governor has mentioned it from time to time as well. And the mayor is asking people to wear masks when they're out in public. However, in terms of making sure people actually do that, in terms of enforcement, is pretty difficult. Here's the mayor from the.
There was a way to do it, like a civil ticket. I might be more inclined, but I don't see what they've done on the other side to allow for enforcement of this. And I'm not really clear on that, and I don't understand why people don't wear masks voluntarily. I have a trunk full of them. We had someone come in yesterday, called me up and said I need masks. We gave them 4. I dropped one off this morning in a donut shop. I have no problem doing whatever we can to get people get their hands on masks. But as far as the enforcement piece of it, I have not had one clear description of how that works out.
A very difficult in terms of asking people to, again, continue to practice social distancing and to wear masks in public. The mayor the other day on a Facebook video says he's recommending that people wear masks, particularly if they're going into stores, supermarkets, and the like. I know, Phil, that there are some communities, I believe Lawrence is looking at it, Cambridge and Somerville have actually instituted fines. And this is something where it's that difficult balance, Phil, between keeping people safe, telling people, recommending people to do things, and actually having people follow through.
Yeah, Keith, as I was listening to the mayor there, I thought, it must be difficult to figure out how to enforce this. But, one route to doing so might be to look at what some of our other communities are doing. I believe, as you mentioned, Cambridge is planning to issue $300 fines to anybody who violates the mask in public policy in effect. Again, I don't see necessarily I don't know how that will be enforced. If there will be, police sort of patrolling the streets, looking at people walking down the sidewalk, not wearing a mask. Boom, you have a fine. It's tough. It's tough, and it's just one of the many big question marks that this pandemic has brought to municipalities. Questions that Mayor Coogan and other leaders like him have never had to think about before. It's a tough time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I also had the chance to talk to the mayor about some other non-COVID-19 issues, and I want to bring those up with you.
Sure.
The mayor yesterday announced that he has appointed a 7-person advisory committee that its charge will be to interview candidates for the position of police chief. They're actually meeting today. They are going to be speaking with 3 internal candidates that have applied for the position: Captain Michael Duarte, Captain Jeffrey Cardoza, and current interim chief and deputy chief Charles Cullen. I had the opportunity to speak to the mayor about that today and asking his reasons around why only internal candidates are being considered by this advisory committee.
I think if you look at the resumes, the internal candidates had just as much strength as anybody that applied on paper. And there was only a few, 3, 4 maybe external candidates, which we are holding to the side. If tonight doesn't go to the point where we find somebody that we think the city of Fall River can rally around, then we may bring the externals in next. But I did want to try to stay in the city if possible. I think that that's part of doing a good job when you work for the city. If you move up the ladder and you take the required test to become a sergeant, lieutenant, or captain, and this position opens up, you should have an opportunity to apply for it.
The 3 candidates will go before this 7-member committee today. And Phil, the mayor was explicit even in our interview to not release the names of those 7 members of the committee. I know it was reported yesterday in the paper that there's a wide swath of experiences from these 7 individuals.
That's right. We asked the mayor for his reasoning on not releasing the names of the screening committee members. He says it's simply because he doesn't want their decision to be colored by any outside influences. If their names are released, somebody could possibly pick up the phone and, try to, sway them in one direction or another for a candidate. So he says he wants these people to make their decision based on their own interactions with the candidates, what they see. He's also stressing that this is an advisory committee for him, and that ultimately he'll be left to make the final decision. We'll go through these internal candidates first, which seem to be the priority, and possibly get to the external candidates if the internal ones don't present anything that the committee and the mayor are looking for.
Yeah, we'll see if there's a timeline for the mayor. I'm sure the mayor would like to fill the position as soon as possible, just to keep, again, the wheels of government moving. But we'll have to see as that shakes out. And also this week, it was reported in the paper, Phil, that the city's fiscal 2021 budget is up for release soon. Actually, as part of the charter, the mayor must present his budget by May 15th. But there was concerns and maybe even some policy issues coming from Boston that will allow the city to delay that release, at least for the time being, because of COVID-19.
Yeah, so we spoke with Mary Sahadi, who is the Director of Financial Services in the city. She said she's been on the phone with the Department of Revenue in the state the last couple of weeks, and other municipalities as well. And this as the state struggles to meet its own June 30th deadline for the 2021 budget. So it is possible. It's possible that there could be some deadline changes there for Fall River and other communities. We don't know for sure yet. Mary did indicate the possibility of going to a temporary monthly budget plan system for cities and towns, which is something we don't normally do. It's normally the whole 12 months in one, but it's possible. It's possible that we could go starting in July, approving budget numbers on a month-to-month basis. And if that were the case, the May 15th deadline that the mayor has here in the city would be extended. And this would, give a little more leeway, a little more time, and I think desperately needed time, considering what the state and all these communities are up against in the pandemic.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how the budget shakes out.
We'll see.
Finally, Phil, I want to say thank you to Phil Devitt. This is going to be your last appearance with us on the show. You've been with us for a little over a year. Unfortunately, last week, the Fall River Herald News made some further layoffs, as many of you know who have been following local news outlets having a difficult time making ends meet. It was not helped by this current pandemic, as a number of revenue streams, primarily advertising in the paper, has declined because of businesses that have been shuttered during this time. And unfortunately, Phil, you have been one of the people who are unfortunately going to be let go by the paper. This is your last week at the Herald News. I want to give you an opportunity just to talk about your time at the Herald and maybe what's next for you, if you know.
Well, it has been an absolute whirlwind and a fantastic experience and an honor to be with the Herald News for the last year. It's a position I never expected to take on, but I'm so glad I did. I've learned a lot. This is a city that I love very much. I was born here. I live here. I'll continue to live here and try to find ways to contribute. I have, I think, a great body of work with a great team of people to look back on and be proud of. The good thing is there are changes at the newspaper, but the newspaper is going to remain here in the city. And there's a whole group of dedicated, hardworking folks who are going to make sure it continues to get out online and in print every day. As for me, like I said, I'm going to stick around and find some other ways to tell stories and stay in journalism, because I think local community journalism, as you can attest to, Keith, is super important, especially now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Phil, I want to thank you for your contributions to this program over the year plus. And, we wish you all the best moving forward. And we know you'll land on your feet very soon. So, Phil, thank you for your participation, and please keep in touch.
Thank you, Keith, for everything, and thank you to all the viewers of this great program and all the readers of the Herald News. I appreciate it.
All right, Phil, thank you. We will take a break now, as we will provide you with the latest local healthcare opportunities from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center.
Here are some health-related job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Adolescent Advocate. The Fall River YMCA, located at 199 North Main Street, has an immediate need for a full-time adolescent advocate to develop self-sufficiency, providing treatment and care for trauma-impacted adolescents. Job number 1353091. Substance Abuse Counselor. Star, located at 386 Stanley Street, has an immediate need for a part-time substance abuse counselor to provide patients with substance abuse counseling, case management assessment, treatment, and aftercare planning. Job number 135-28753. Certified Nurse Aide. South Point Rehab and Nursing Center, located at 100 Amity Street, has an immediate need for a full-time certified nurse aide to provide basic living care to patients and assist them in daily activities. Job number 135-28072. The Fall River Jewish Home, located at 538 Robeson Street, has an immediate need for these full and part-time positions. Dietary Aid, job number 135-29905. Certified Nurse Aide, job number 135-28488. Family Service Association, located at 101 Rock Street, also has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Caregiver, job number 135-24728. Licensed Practical Nurse, job number 135-26568. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. We had the opportunity this week to speak with Fall River's police and fire chiefs to get an update on how their departments are protecting city residents while on the front lines of the pandemic. Overall, it's somewhat business as usual, as the number of calls for service at both departments are about normal, save for an increased number of emergency medical calls due to COVID-19. Since the pandemic began, local officials are notified of the addresses of a positive COVID-19 patient. Both chiefs say that information has led to a change in the dispatch of calls.
There's a lot of training that goes on. In Fall River, we do police, fire, and EMS services. Basically, we started the last week of February, before mid-March when restrictions set in. I was contacted by the EMS Deputy Director, Fonts, who suggested for us to start preparing and to start requesting our dispatchers ask extra questions on medical calls specifically. And to give you an example, in the past, someone would call saying, I need an ambulance, I'm not feeling good, okay? We get the information, we dispatch medical rescue to the call. So what we started basically on the last Friday of February, we ask a little more questions. Do you have a fever? Have you been out of the country? What other symptoms do you have? And we relay this to the medical rescue before they arrive at the scene.
Now, when we have a heads up like that, there are different protocols that we're going to follow that are going to be totally different, because we have different levels of personal protective equipment, which everybody knows. So once we find out that, number one, this house does have a positive case,
call extension 349.
what we will do is we're going to minimize the amount of people that could be exposed. So we're not going to send in two paramedics. We're not going to send in the 4 firefighters outside. What we're going to do is we're going to send one paramedic there in full PPE. He's going to go up and he's going to assess the situation. And then from there, he can determine exactly what the manpower is going to require. Is he going to require the firefighters and the other paramedic to come up? And if they do have to come up, he's going to tell them, this is the type of personal protective equipment you're going to have to wear. So it's critical.
Both chiefs wanted to make it known that despite the anxiety around the pandemic, their officers have continued to act with professionalism and respect.
There was a lot of anxiety in the beginning because of the unknowns. The media really ramped this thing up, and it was critical. And so obviously my rank and file were a little anxious because they also have families they have to go home to. But that has since slowed down, and I think we've adjusted to all that. The men and women of the Fall River Fire Department are doing a great job out there, and especially the paramedics and EMS division. I mean, obviously they're in harm's way every single day, but we've always dealt with crisis like these. This is what we do. Public safety, the police department, the fire department, the paramedics, we deal with crisis every single day. Not at the magnitude of this, but it's prepared us for something this large. And like anything else, we adapt and we overcome.
In our talks with local business leaders, we know that the pandemic has thrown a wrench into local operations, with many businesses shuttered for now with an uncertain future. But there have been some businesses who have found a way to succeed through. Merrill Manufacturing in Fall River has switched its focus from producing soft clothing goods to producing personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. CEO Charlie Merrow says the company's eye toward innovation made that pivot possible.
When the COVID crisis started, Merrow was uniquely positioned to be able to design and develop very quickly technical product. And we realized that we were able to build a remarkable set of isolation gowns that we think are technically better than what's been on the market previously. So this company has done an extraordinary job in the last 30 days of moving from a design development and capacity planning stage to a production stage where we're now building several 100,000 gowns a week. We're working as a hub of part of 7 factories right now, and we've hired 41 people in the last week. And interestingly, we're the largest consumer of raw goods in this category of product right now. So we've opened up 2 mills who were closed for the pandemic because of our throughput. So I'm very proud of the team here, and I'm extraordinarily grateful for the support that we've had in the community for what we've done.
Mayor goes on to say that his client base for the PPEs is growing, and it's a sign that there are opportunities for the future.
You'll see our gowns on several million gowns on providers in the Commonwealth through the state. We're working with something like 25 Massachusetts hospital systems, and then throughout the country, we're working with a wide variety of customers who represent everything from first responder companies to people working in assisted living. And I think that the real interesting story, though, is the U.S. supply chain stepping up to be able to meet a demand and keep people safe in a way that was fully compromised by our dependence on imported product. And I think that one of the residual effects of this is going to be our investment, our collective investment, but specifically Mayor's investment in standing up a supply chain that's able to produce millions of gowns a month, which we'll be able to do by next month.
We've talked about how COVID-19 has thrown us all into a new normal. For local high school seniors, finishing their final year away from their classmates is not what was in the plans. BMC Durfee Student Body Vice President and Senior Noor Issa says the class of 2020 is resilient while missing the opportunity to experience a normal senior year.
Senior year in itself, with or without the whole coronavirus situation, is already hard because you're saying bye to your lifelong friends and you're savoring your very last moments with them, particularly in this final 3 months that this is occurring during of senior year. This is when you want to be with your friends. This is when you want to savor the moments and have fun and see each other and go to sports events, like you said, and have events such as like Mr. Hilltopper is a well-known Durfee tradition, like prom, of course, stuff that we've looked forward to for so many years, and just being in each other's company, like in a classroom, not even like anything extravagant. So that's definitely been among the hardest parts, is just not seeing each other. Of course, like you said, we're lucky to live in a time where we can stay connected through our phones, but it's not the same.
Issa says she's looking forward to a time when the seniors can still gather together as a class and celebrate their years together.
I personally have been very passionate about the idea of just doing something. Like, of course, before Governor Baker declared like no more school, I just wanted one more day of school. It didn't have to be even an event. I just wanted one more like time where we could all be together in that situation. And of course, that's not possible anymore. So there is like speculation of a graduation maybe in August, if applicable, if the situation has, eased by then, or a prom maybe in August before we all leave for college. As for like next year, like November around Thanksgiving time has been talked about, but that's been kind of, not for me personally, but like among who I've talked to amongst our senior class, there's mixed opinions on it. A lot of us would rather have something than nothing, but we also feel like by November, by the time we're all in college, if we go to college and if we get to go live on campus, it'll be kind of, we've moved on. That's what a lot of my friends have been saying.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Sketcher. He is a 10-month-old terrier mix. He's very good with kids, good with cats, good with other dogs too. He's very, very playful, very energetic. He knows basic commands like sit. He's very, very sweet, and he loves attention, and he loves people. We don't think he would be too bad with other cats. He would be a great addition to a family that maybe has another dog that he could play with. I think that would be really good for him. He would do well in a very active home. Probably not the best in a home with very, very young children because he does like to jump up and lick your face. If you want to make an appointment to see Sketcher, you can make an appointment at Forever Paws at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. Today we have Bruno. Bruno is a 7-year-old neutered male, and he is very, very sweet. He loves to play. He loves attention. He would do better in a house with, it's a little bit more active, not too calm and laid back, or else he would get anxious from all his built up energy. And as you can see, he has a lot of built up energy. And he is not good with any dogs, okay with cats, all right with older children, no kids too young. If you want to come down to meet Bruno, you can make an appointment at Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. Bruno would love to meet you.
Just because many of us are homebound more than we'd like, it doesn't mean that we can't experience the talents of local artists. This time of year, the state has been celebrating Art Week, a celebration of arts across the Commonwealth. Now, because of COVID-19, this year's celebration is being called Art Week at Home, where local artists will be performing virtually. Creative Arts Network in Fall River is spearheading Art Week at Home locally. Co-directors Dave and Sandy Dennis says, despite the lack of a common outdoor gathering place, there will be plenty for local residents to sample online.
We've got artists doing paint lessons, story reading, cooking lessons, dance lessons. We have an artist that's going to do a virtual art exhibit. We are looking to do a live short puppet show with one of the artists that we've worked with in the past. But the other twist to this is Restaurant Week, because Art Week always had, what was the name of it? Something of food, the art of food. So what we decided, we're going to do a small version of Restaurant Week to try and help and support the restaurants that are open, that are doing takeout and delivery. So we've got a special poster just for Restaurant Week with the hopes that they will participate, do something a little creative during Art Week and Food Week, and try to get more people to do takeout or delivery to our local restaurants to help them out.
Art Week at Home begins tomorrow, Friday, May 1st, and runs through May 10th. For more information and a schedule, you can visit the Creative Arts Network website. Speaking of arts, our weekly Dinner Time with Entertainment series gets back into action this Friday at 6 p.m. as we will get a 30-minute concert performance from local folk performer Cheryl Wheeler. You can watch Dinner Time With on Channel 95 and on our Facebook page tomorrow, Friday, at 6 p.m. That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. We invite you to join us on our website, frmedia.org, to get all the latest information on how we're covering COVID-19 here in Fall River, as well as information on our Channel 95 program schedule. This program can be seen Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday.